So I bought a used Alesis DM7x drum set, turned it on, and it had a C51 error. So the most common thing to do is supposed to be to reset it by holding the two side arrows and turning it on, but still had the error. So I checked it out with a different power supply because that was the most common problem, but still had the error. There is actually a C51 capacitor on the unit I found out, but I'll maybe save that for another video. So I just went ahead and bought another one because it was used. It was cheap. Maybe I'll do a comparison later, see if I can fix it. So went on to the next problem, missing parts, missing hardware. So I went to my drawer of all the hardware I've ever saved in the past and found that the VESA screws in the back of a TV, when you mount it, actually fit in that slot. So tried one out, that was long enough, seemed like it was going to work, so testing to see if it'll mount the pedal to the drum pad, and it does. So problem solved. Although the drum pad didn't actually trigger, so I went ahead and opened it up and found that the positive lead was actually disconnected, fell right off. So thought, well, let's just try soldering it back on. Now when you solder these back on, the area that the solder came off, you can't solder it back to that area. So if you look, I'm actually trying first and it doesn't work. So I had to actually solder it to the side, and I had to be careful because if I had ripped any more, I wouldn't have any more area to solder it to. So being careful, you can see the solder just doesn't stick to that center, and it went right to the side. So I just soldered it to the side, and we're just going to make sure it works. Now to make sure that stays on, the tape that it came with, it's like a little mesh tape. I just used some other mesh tape I had. Nothing too heavy and not super sticky, so I made sure I didn't change the width that the piezo triggered. It's just a piece of glass with a piezo sensor on it, stuck between two pieces of foam. So this is putting it back. I left this in the video because I didn't show taking it apart, so taking it apart is basically just the opposite. So this drum trigger has a mylar head on it. Some of them just have a rubber pad. I don't know if this actually, I don't think this is the one that comes with this drum set, but it's what was there, so we're just going to use it. So you can see that it actually attaches like a real drum head. I don't actually have a drum key, so I use this pliers, although it's probably not recommended because it'll scratch it. But it was already scratched up, so I don't really care. But I did order a drum key, so that should be coming in a couple days. Okay, making sure it's tight, but not too tight. Now the base that it was on, it looked like somebody had taken it apart before, and it was missing screws. So I slid it back together. Now notice that I had to put that large piece on first because it has the threads on the bottom. So if you don't put that large piece on and you put the small piece on first, those two screws are going to screw into nothing. Alright, once that's in, the stand part was actually not missing a screw, but actually had the incorrect screw. So putting it back on with the screws that did fit, went again to my drawer of screws that I never throw away. And on this side, see that one fits? They gave me this weird silver screw that didn't fit, so I went in and I found another screw. A smaller VESA screw actually fit. So testing it out, seems like it works. I keep hearing that the felt is actually going to make this wear out faster. And this is a mylar sheet, like a drum. This is not the rubber ones. This is going to scratch this up enough that it's going to actually wear this out faster than the plastic. So people keep saying to turn this around. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to follow that advice and see what happens. All right, I've turned it around so the felt is on this side, and I'm going to hit it. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. It doesn't make a difference in the way it feels. So then off to the hi-hats. when I hit the hi-hat, it's already in a closed position and I'm not even stepping on it. So if you look at that, I'm gonna depress this and lift it real quick. After I did that, it's now in the open position. And you can see that that light doesn't light. So if I then try to use it as a hi-hat, let me try, hit this and then close my foot. That works. Now if I lift off my foot, it's now in the closed position permanently. So it doesn't seem to trigger that it's open again unless I quickly tap it. So I took it over to the bench and we're taking it apart. Now there is a big spring in there, so you have to be careful when you unscrew this. If you're not careful, the spring could possibly push something and maybe snag a wire or something. So opening this carefully, you'll notice that there's a little ribbon cable there and it's connected to a circuit board. So pulling that would have been bad. That circuit board, however, is kind of just dangling in a little slot, so you can pull it out. Now there's like a curved foot that gets slid down across a pressure sensitive variable resistor. You can see that right there. So did a quick test on that, and variable resistor seems to work, though I don't know what the readings are supposed to be. You can see it working right there. Now one thing I found out was there's actually another version, the DMHat version 2, that actually has a similar setup, but you can see that instead of a long pad, there's 4 pads. So there's very specific resistances. Now the pedals are not labeled version 1 or version 2, but this kit seems to need the version 2. If you go online like to eBay, you'll see people selling version 1, but listing it almost as if it's a version 2, so be careful which one you buy. You can kind of tell by the way they look. Okay, here's the drums. It's on. I have the old hi-hat pedal over there. It's not the right one. This is the right one. Let's see here. So we have the hi-hat. I'm just going to tap it. Okay. We have cymbals. This 4th tom. Use 1 stick. So hitting this rim seems to be like a tambourine or something. Now here's the weird part. When I tried playing the snare and I hit too hard on this side, I was getting a rim shot. So let's take the snare in and take it apart. So again, I don't have the key yet, so I just used pliers. Now this is a piece of glass suspended on foam posts with the piezo pickup in the middle. So that's for the snare hit. And I guess that's so that when you hit the pad on the top, the foam will vibrate the sensor. And that separates it from the outer shell. The outer shell on the bottom has another sensor, and that's for the rim shot. Right there. So if you hit that, it vibrates the rim. Now, with that mesh on top, I was hitting the mesh and it was transferring the vibration to the rim. Couldn't see anything wrong, so I suspect it's just a gap. Someone had tightened it too much. You can see that the original picture, there was no gap. Alright, so I did order a set of drum keys, standard 5mm or 1/4 inch, and I didn't adjust any of these. I don't know if I have to. I'm not a drummer, but I mean, I've had to set things up for people. Okay, I'm going to hit a little harder. Okay, to me these seem playable. This one is just dead. So I'm gonna tighten these up, maybe, I don't know, maybe a full turn each. It's still moving, but I mean, when I first got it, somebody had tightened this all the way. So this was actually pretty much touching. So this was so tight, and the top was touching the bottom, so it was actually triggering the rim shot. So I think we're good for now. Okay, I'm wrong. I found one more problem. So here's the problem. I can choke this crash and this ride, but not this one. So let's take it apart. So this actually was all unnecessary because I didn't know enough about these, but when I took it apart, I found the piezo pickup, and underneath I saw no other wires. So I didn't know how it was getting choked or supposed to be choked. So these were old and they were kind of worn out anyway, so decided to just take off the top. And I saw that there was kind of a rubber area where the choke would have been, but there was no choke. And I realized this is a single zone cymbal, and the ones with the choke actually say with choke. So that was stupid of me, but that's okay, I learned something. Apparently this kit has a no choke for the hi-hat, and a choke for the other two cymbals, and someone had added the second crash to this, but they purchased a cymbal without a choke. So you can see that that one actually has a separate wire for the choke. So I think I'm just gonna switch the cymbal without a choke to be the ride cymbal and have the two crash cymbals have chokes. I have the headphones on the phone, around the phone, so I can't even hear what's happening here. So I'm just gonna fiddle around to listen to it later to see if the drums actually sound okay. So I tightened this one up a little bit. Everything else should be working. Oops, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, hopefully this sounds okay. And the rim shot is only happening here and not here. According to the light, everything's working fine. And since it's been kind of adjusted, it was a little bit stretched out, so I had to make it a little tighter again. But I think I can't do a roll. But it bounces a lot better now. You can't quite do the same as these because it has this foam in the middle to pick up the snare instead of the rim shot. But I think it's not bad right now. I don't know if I play left-handed or right-handed. Let's try this. Oh, or maybe it's, you know what? Maybe it's a good habit to be able to do both. All right, so I think this is fixed. So I'll just keep practicing for the next year.